stop. Before you scroll past this, before you dismiss what I'm about to say as just another motivational speech, I need you to understand something. What you're about to read is going to challenge a belief you've held your entire life. A belief that feels noble, a belief that feels right. And that is exactly what makes it so dangerous. You believe being good keeps you safe. You believe kindness protects you. That honesty earns you respect. That if you stay loyal long enough, loyal enough, patient enough, the world will eventually recognize your worth and reward it. But look at your life honestly for one moment. Look at the people around you. The kindest ones, where are they? Burned out, overlooked, endlessly giving to people who never reciprocate. The most loyal ones, what happened to them? Betrayed first, every time, without fail. And the honest ones, replaced, quietly, efficiently, by someone more cunning, more calculated, more willing to play the game. You've been told your goodness is your greatest strength. But what if that goodness, unguarded, unstructured, unprotected, is the very reason people walk over you? Machiavelli saw this 5 centuries ago. He watched kind rulers destroyed by their own mercy. He watched honest men exiled for speaking truth in courts built on lies. He watched good people, genuinely good people, crushed beneath the weight of someone else's ambition. And from all of it, he arrived at a conclusion the world still refuses to hear. Goodness without strategy is a slow, elegant form of self-destruction. And somewhere deep inside you, in that quiet voice you've been suppressing for years, you already know this is true. So tonight, I'm not here to teach you cruelty. I'm here to teach you something far more powerful. Precision. Because real power was never about dominance. It's about direction. And after this, your goodness will never be the same liability again. The problem was never your heart, it was your training. Let's be honest about what's actually happening. You move through the world with a fundamental assumption that other people operate by the same internal code you do, that loyalty earns loyalty, that honesty invites honesty in return, that if you give enough, care enough, sacrifice enough, eventually it comes back. But it doesn't, not automatically, not reliably, not in the way you deserve. Because most people don't value your kindness. They measure it. They watch quietly to see how far you'll bend before you finally break. They pay close attention to your patterns, your limits, your triggers. And once they map the boundaries of your tolerance, they never stop testing those edges. They tell you they admire your heart, but what they're really noting is how accessible you are, how available, how unlikely to push back. You call what you offer empathy. They call it access. You think you're leading with love. They see a door left permanently open with no lock on the other side. Machiavelli wrote that men are by nature ungrateful, fickle, and capable of betrayal when it costs them nothing. He was not being cynical. He was being accurate. And the most brutal part of his observation was this: a good man is always the first to be abandoned in times of danger, not because he is weak, but because he is safe to betray. There are no consequences, no unpredictability, no cost. Think about how many times you've been the peacekeeper, only to become invisible. How many times you gave everything and they simply expected more next time. How many times your silence kept the peace while costing you your dignity. It is not that these people hate you. It is that you train them not to fear losing you. You made yourself predictable. And predictable people are not respected. They are utilized. Here is the paradox Machiavelli understood that most good people never do. Kindness without strength behind it does not inspire loyalty. It invites consumption. People do not protect what they can easily replace. And when you never say no, you teach everyone around you that your yes has no real value. because it was never earned, never scarce, never conditional? Would you follow someone who apologizes for existing? Would you respect someone who never draws a line? Neither would anyone else. The hidden cost of needing to be loved. Now we go deeper, because this is where most people resist. You don't just want to be liked, you crave it. And I'm not saying that to shame you, because the world built this craving into you from childhood. You were trained to earn approval like oxygen, to smile when you wanted to scream, to make yourself just small enough, just agreeable enough, just quiet enough, so no one would ever call you difficult. With every compromise, a piece of the real you went underground. You became the fixer, the peacekeeper, the one who says sorry first, always, just to end the tension. You told yourself it was kindness. Machiavelli would call it what it actually is: fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood. Fear that if you stop performing goodness, people will stop choosing you. And that fear, that specific, quiet, relentless fear, is what keeps you trapped. Machiavelli wrote, "He who builds his power on the love of others builds on sand." Because love is unstable. It shifts with emotion, with convenience, with what you can offer today versus what you offered yesterday. The people who claim to love the version of you that gave everything. Watch what happens when you stop. Watch how quickly the affection becomes confusion, then distance, then absence. That is not love. That is transaction. Here is the liberation Machiavelli was pointing toward. You do not have to stop being kind. You have to stop being owned. Real power does not come from being adored. It comes from being significant. Not for your sweetness, for your gravity. The moment you stop performing for approval, something remarkable happens. People begin to sense a shift. They listen differently. They choose their words more carefully. They become curious about the silence where your desperation used to live. And that is when you realize it was never about being loved. It was about becoming so complete within yourself that love becomes something you choose rather than something you need to survive. The moment you no longer fear losing love, you become untouchable. The world does not reward virtue, it rewards leverage. You were raised to believe in a certain kind of justice, that goodness gets noticed, that patience gets rewarded, that if you do the right thing long enough and consistently enough, destiny will eventually balance the scales in your favor. Destiny does not have eyes. The world does not keep score, and it does not reward sincerity. It rewards leverage. Look around at who rises. The ruthless are not rising because they are cruel. They are rising because they understand timing. They know when to speak and when to disappear, when to be generous and when to withhold, when to push and when to wait. Power is not about doing everything right. It is about doing the right thing strategically. Meanwhile, the moral ones wait. They wait for recognition. They wait for fairness. They wait for karma to arrive and set things right. But the world is not moved by intention. It is moved by perception. Machiavelli wrote that a ruler does not need to be virtuous. He only needs to appear that way. Because perception creates belief, and belief shapes reality. That is not a lesson in deception. It is a lesson in survival. In a world that will not slow down to examine your interior, you must learn to manage your exterior before others define it for you. This is why the competent are overlooked, while the confident are crowned. Why quiet brilliance collects dust, while loud mediocrity gets promoted. It is not fair, but it is predictable. And once you accept its predictability, you stop playing the victim and start playing the architect. You can be honest and still choose when to reveal the truth. You can be kind, man, and still decide who deserves your kindness. You can be loyal without being loyal to the point where it costs you everything. That is not cruelty, That is clarity. Machiavelli never said become evil. He said become effective. Because history does not remember intentions, it remembers outcomes. The power of presence, what you project before you speak. When you walk into a room, what do people feel? Not what they think, what they feel. Because long before your words reach anyone, before they know your story, before they've heard your name, they have already formed an impression of you. And the cruel truth is, they are rarely wrong. Not because they see your reality, but because they trust their illusion before you can replace it with your truth. That is the power of image. The world does not meet your soul. It meets your silhouette, your posture, the weight of your silence, the pace of your steps, the steadiness in your voice. You could be the most intelligent person in the room and still be treated like a servant if your presence trembles. You could have the purest heart and still be ignored if your voice carries apology in its tone. Machiavelli understood this entirely. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you truly are." He was not glorifying deception. He was describing the fundamental mechanics of human perception. And the lesson is this: if you don't design your image deliberately, the world will design it for you. And it will always make you smaller than you are. Stand straighter, speak slower, move with intention, let silence breathe before you answer. Because when your presence carries gravity, your words no longer need volume. People do not follow those they understand. They follow those they feel compelled to respect. You don't need to fake anything. You just need to frame it. Shape how the world encounters your truth. Because in a world where perception is currency, your presence is your wealth. Silence is not absence. It is a weapon. Every word you say is a window into your mind. Every explanation you offer is a map. And in a world that contains people who study weakness before they reveal their own, maps are dangerous. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must know how to conceal his intentions, not because deception is noble, but because transparency in the wrong hands is suicide." How many times have you talked too much, trying to prove your sincerity, only to be misunderstood, or worse, used? You explained your reasons. They archived them as vulnerabilities. You opened your heart to create connection. They used the access to find where you break. Silence is not withdrawal. It is a signal. When people do not know what you are thinking, they begin to guess. When they guess, they hesitate. And in their hesitation lives your protection. In their curiosity lives your advantage. Silence creates space. And in that space, other people reveal themselves. They rush to fill the quiet, to dissolve the tension, to restore the comfort you deliberately withheld. Every great strategist throughout history understood this. The person who speaks least is the one most respected, because words make you ordinary, but silence makes you unpredictable, and the unpredictable cannot be controlled. Stop rushing to fill every pause. Let it breathe. Let it press. Let your stillness remind the room that not everything about you is available for consumption. You do not owe the world your thoughts. You owe yourself the discipline to protect them. Unpredictability is not chaos. It is control. Once someone knows your pattern, they no longer need to negotiate with you. They just need to manage you. They know which words make you angry. They know how to trigger your guilt. They know which silence will break your resolve first. At that point, you are no longer a person in their mind. You are a system they have learned to operate. Machiavelli warned about this directly. He watched rulers fall, not because they were weak, but because they were readable. Their allies studied their rhythm. Their enemies memorized their reactions. And once they understood the pattern, they found the exploit. The same happens every day in ordinary life. Every emotional habit you repeat becomes data. every apology offered too quickly, every conflict handled with the same script, every time you fold under the same kind of pressure. It becomes a file that others carry and use. Unpredictability is not aggression, it is equilibrium. When people cannot anticipate you, they cannot prepare against you. They cannot manipulate what they cannot map. That uncertainty you create, that pause in their calculation, that is your protection. That is your throne. Move differently, respond differently. Surprise people with calm when they expect explosion. Surprise them with silence when they expect justification. Let them question whether your patience means peace or preparation. Because in that uncertainty, you become untouchable. Strategic patience, the most underestimated form of power. The modern world is obsessed with speed. Move fast, decide now, react immediately. But Machiavelli understood something about timing that most people never grasp. Fortune favors the man who knows when to wait. Urgency is just panic wearing a mask of confidence. Real strength waits. It studies, it watches. It lets chaos run its course and reveal its own pattern before making a move. The hunter who fires too early misses. But the one who waits, who listens to the rhythm of the moment, never wastes an arrow. Strategic patience is not passivity. It is controlled stillness. It is the pause between knowing and acting. The silence before precision strikes. Let them exhaust themselves with motion. Let their desperation expose their weaknesses. Let them burn their energy on noise while you quietly prepare. And when the moment aligns, one gesture, one word, one decision, the world shifts. Not because of force, because of timing. That is the difference between reacting and ruling. You are not in a hurry. You are in command. The transformation from good to wise. You were never too kind, never too loyal, never too honest. You were simply untrained. The world taught you that goodness would keep you safe. It taught you that virtue would be recognized, that patience would be rewarded, that a pure heart would attract pure hearts in return. And you believed it because you were sincere, because you wanted it to be true. But sincerity without strategy is a gift given to the wrong address. Now you hold the map. Now you understand that kindness must have structure, that love must have limits, that silence must carry sharpness, that patience must serve a purpose rather than simply suffer one. You are no longer the prey. You are the observer, the strategist, the stillness behind the storm. You smile now, not to please, but to measure. You forgive, not because you are weak, but because you have already moved 3 steps ahead. You are not here to impress anyone. You are here to master yourself. Machiavelli never worshipped cruelty. He worshipped control. And control begins the moment you stop apologizing for being different from the unconscious majority. Your goodness is now a blade, polished, hidden, precise. You will not offer it freely. You will deploy it intentionally. And when you do, it will land exactly where it should. Every boundary you failed to set, that was training. Every betrayal, that was refinement. Every moment you stayed silent when you should have walked away, that was a lesson written in a language you can now read. You are not the same person who started this. You are quieter now, more deliberate, more strategic. And that is not coldness. That is transformation. Because warmth without edges is not kindness, it is exposure. And now your warmth has form, it has weight, it has rules. Machiavelli would recognize this version of you and say, you finally understand that mercy and power can share the same heart. So let this be your declaration from this moment forward. My goodness serves me. It no longer betrays me. You don't owe the world your softness. You owe it your strategy, your precision, your intentional presence and your equally intentional absence. You have just crossed the line between being good and being wise, because when wisdom wears kindness like armor, even the wolf's bull